Hi, everyone. Melanie Santostefano here with
Clay Johnson.
Clay Johnson. He's the administrator of Lindners, and he is stepping in to help. He is on our communications subcommittee for the podcast, and he's helping me with interviews today.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Not substituting, because you can't replace Jim Moran.
I mean, you can't. She's iconic.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but you're doing awesome.
Thank you.
Anyway, so we are about to share a bunch of videos with many different people. Let's see, who did we talk to?
Scott Hilts, Glen Cole, Joan Walls.
Mhm.
It was awesome.
Hannah Lipman,
Yeah.
Alaina Murphy, couple up-and-comers in local government, young future leaders for sure. And Paula Schumacher, who is the incoming president of ILCMA. She was anointed in the knighting ceremony earlier.
Glorious.
Yeah, it was glorious. So let's go to those interviews. Hi, everybody. This is Local Gov Stories, ILCMA's podcast, live at the Summer Conference. We're in Champaign at the Hotel, and I'm honored to be here with Hannah.
Hello, good morning.
And she and I just came out of the keynote. Hannah Lipman, by the way. Why don't you tell everyone what your role is and where you are?
Hello, I am Hannah Lipman. I am the Assistant Village Manager and Interim Finance Director for the Villages in the Village.
This young lady has a big job, and she is one of the future leaders of local government. She's definitely, how old are you right now?
30. Just turned 30.
30 years old, and she's already in a second-in-command leadership role. For those of you out there, before we tell you about what this amazing keynote was, this is a career that you could look at. If you haven't already, one of the reasons we do this podcast is to make sure that young people know that local government is an opportunity. And Hannah's a good example of someone that started young and got right in, and now look at her. She's headed for greater things. So we just saw Joy Baldridge, who did
great.
Yeah. So let's get right into it. What were your thoughts?
Yes. Joy had so much energy to start us off this morning. It was a great keynote. So there was a lot of emphasis on building resilience. And she had all these little tips and tricks. We walked away with this kind of golden nugget card, as she called it. So it has a ton of different golden nuggets and techniques and tips that you can use throughout your day. So one of the things I really liked was one of her main focuses, which was always be flexible and adaptable. I think that's something, especially in local government, that we have to do every single day. There's always something popping up, and all the challenges and issues that come up, whether it's internal or external. So I really liked just how she kind of walked us through that. And then my other favorite was the 446 breathing, because I think sometimes as those challenges arise, it's kind of staying calm, bringing yourself back to the present, and working with you.
Yeah, and those breaths, right? You took 4 seconds in, and then hold it for 4. Why don't we do this right now? Okay, so. And then slowly release for over 10 seconds, right? Like if you do this, actually, we all did this in the keynote, and it did relax me.
Yes, absolutely.
That, and also I have a little prop too, so let me grab this. You talked about something called a purple break. What that is basically you close your eyes and you cover them so you have complete darkness. There's a chemical apparently that is activated in your eye when you don't have complete darkness, and it makes you tired and listless. And so this is supposed to energize you. She said she does it, 4 times a day?
Yeah.
I mean, I could do this 4 times a day, and you could get one of these nifty covers. It doesn't have to say purple break in progress, but you could. You can contact Joy Baldridge.
Whatever gets the job done.
But it was good, right? Didn't that make you feel better?
It was great, yeah.
And then back to your whole kind of taking things in and relaxing for a second. I have found over the years in general that if something's like stressful, if something happens that stresses me out, I need to wait and contemplate, not react right away. And I do think that if you can kind of take a step back and reflect, like you're going to be more measured in your responses. So I think it's great.
Absolutely.
Great advice.
Absolutely. I think she called that one, what was that? Lead from a position of calm. That's her golden nugget phrase.
Yes. And sometimes it's hard to stay calm.
Absolutely.
Especially in local government. It's a great profession. But you know what I always say? We work in communications. You're not going to keep everybody happy all the time. There will be one or two at least who have a challenge or a problem. So you do have to kind of take that into account and make sure that you understand that that's a reality. And, be calm and address it as it happens, as concerns happen. Another thing we thought was great, or I thought was great, was Bob. And I wish I had. Do you have a Bob?
I
She
have
has
a Bob.
Okay, show the Bob.
And Bob is just a stretchy little, I don't want to call him a toy, Bob, but it's just stretchy to show you that he's always resilient. There's always the flexibility, the adaptability, but he's resilient. Because if you're not flexible and adaptable, you become rigid. And when you're rigid, you break.
And we don't want to break. We want to not break, right? Like you have to roll with punches. And again, I think these principles apply to everyday life and in your profession. Because truth be told, who you are as a person does translate into your professional world, right? And so being adaptable and being able to deal with change is absolutely essential. And so Bob is a good reminder. So all these local government professionals are going to have these little Bobs on their desk, because she gave it to everybody. She was like throwing things into the crowd. It was actually really fun.
It was great. There was a lot of energy. I think it was a really great start to the day. So it's really set the tone.
Yeah, and that's how the conferences go. There's always an opening keynote meant to inspire people for positive change, and I think that was absolutely accomplished today.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Hannah Lipman, thank you for joining me. Hannah was a previous guest on the podcast, and for those of you out there who work in local government, are members of ILCMA, if you're interested in being interviewed on the podcast, just reach out to John Peters, and we'll get you all set up. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thanks.
Hello again, local government stories from the ILCMA conference here in Champaign. Again, I'm Clay Johnson, the village administrator for the village of Lindenhurst. With me is Joan Walls, the city manager for the city of Champaign. First, thank you for having us here and hosting this wonderful conference. It's been such a delight to be in town.
Great. It has been a delight to have you all here, and I hope everyone has had an amazing time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think first things first, we want to talk about kind of the change in role that you've seen here lately with the city of Champaign, advancing from deputy city manager to city manager, and what that change has been like for you, maybe personally, and what challenges you faced assuming that role, because so much can be different once you're in that chair.
Yes. So actually, I'm really blessed to be the city manager for the city of Champaign. I just love this community. I've been in the role, it's now 6 months now. And I feel that really the transition has been pretty smooth.
Sure.
What excited me most when considering to even accept the position is the fact that I've been here 25 years.
Wow.
And, I've grown. I've grown with the employees. Have an amazing group of employees that are really experts in their field, known throughout the state, some even at the national level. So I like to brag on them. They do an amazing job. I think probably most importantly is I know the council. Our council sets amazing priorities and goals for our city. They're very progressive because they know that there are tough challenges that we experience in Champaign. Being an urban community and a university town. And so to be able to have a group of folks who really guide us and encourage us and empower us to always give our best. They like to call us, encourage us to be risk takers.
Wow.
All right, because we always want to be perfect. And they say sometimes you can't be perfect. But I think just having that foundation and the passion that they have and they love for this community is really powerful. And I think the last component that really excited me was the community. As a city manager, if someone from the outside that would have to come in, I know the community.
Yeah.
And they know me.
Yeah.
They know what they're getting with me. They know my passion for the community and partnership. We know how to rally together when times are tough. And when times aren't so tough, we rally together. And I just think that's really a blessing for.
Yeah. So I want to pick up on one thing you said there, and there's been a theme of this that we've heard in the conference about adaptability and flexibility. You seem to have that flexibility from your council to take risks and really put yourself out there, put the staff out there in some maybe non-traditional ways. What does that mean to you as a new manager? What kind of message does that send to you?
Well, it's a strong message because someone like me, I tend to be a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And I want to get it right down to a wire, right? But a couple of years ago, when our community was experiencing gun violence, they wanted us to be creative, to be innovative.
Mm.
They wanted us to figure it out and not take, 2 or 3 years because it was a crisis and post-COVID. And so our ability to be able to take that challenge on was pretty exciting. And when I started, 6 months ago, I told the team, I want you to be innovative and creative. Maybe there were things that you thought about a few years ago that you wanted to do or you thought about doing, but maybe hesitant. I want you to bring those ideas up. It doesn't mean that we're going to move them forward, all of them, but it allows them to begin to think about who we can be and what we are to this community. And right now, with some of the toughest societal issues that many communities are facing across this country, we absolutely have to be risk takers in a pretty steady and, of course, strategic way.
Yeah. Nothing's normal now. It all has to be thought of and looked at differently. So I'll end it with one question I've been asking: is the importance of professional development for you, attending things like this, conferences and things of that sort. What do you value and what do you look for when you attend these things?
Yeah, so I love going to conferences. It really allows me to network with my colleagues from across the state, sometimes just to sit and realize that some of the experiences that we're all experiencing are very similar, and to tap into some of their expertise and to learn what they've done in their communities. That always excites me. I love the sessions. I love the keynote speakers that we bring in. I think one thing, and I think you saw earlier, the students that are here, those students depend on us. And I love being able to pour into the students, to encourage the students. And that also in return kind of reminds me of who I am and what it means to be a professional local manager. And my responsibility to empower and to encourage them to consider this profession as a career, but to also let them know that it's okay. There are a lot of people here, you don't know them. This one young lady asked me yesterday, how do I approach them? It was a student. And I said, I always say, start with the name tag.
Mm-hmm.
Just say, hi, what's your name? And then show them yours. And the conversation always blossoms from there. But we also have to recognize that when people come to this conference, that there are some who are first-time attendees. And what can we do to encourage them and to welcome them into this space? And that's just really important to me as a member of ILCMA.
Right. That's awesome. So again, thank you, Joan, for your time. We really appreciate it. Thank you to Champaign for everything that's been going on here. A great conference. So again, thank you and stay tuned.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Melanie Santostefano here, live at the Summer Conference for ILCMA. And I have the opportunity and privilege to be here with Paula Schumacher, who, by the way, is the new leader of this amazing organization, ILCMA, Illinois City County Management Association. For those of you who don't know the name of what the acronym stands for. So, Paula, thanks for being here today.
Thanks so much. It's such a pleasure to be back with you.
I know.
We did your tours podcast, and so
yes,
great things happens when you get to come back.
Well, that was 13 episodes ago, and actually that was the kind of the genesis of the podcast, to make sure that people knew about the conference coming up, which
That's
was
right. It was the winter conference a year ago. And, we've seen our numbers just skyrocket.
That's awesome.
I think going to conferences in person is back, and we're delighted. The ILCMA staff does an amazing job.
They do.
Of putting together, not only just really great educational opportunities, fabulous keynote speakers that really just, inspire you to go back to work and knock it out of the park. Our sessions at this particular conference, you're taking something home with you that you can put to work on Monday. And then we had wonderful, amazing social activities.
True.
Got to be on the field at Memorial Stadium on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I had a great time just, hanging out there playing some pickup games. Not me, I watched.
There was pickup games with people in their bare feet running across the fields, which was great.
Which was fabulous. It was certainly a one of a kind experience for us
Yeah.
at a conference.
That was great.
And we had a fantastic night last night exploring Champaign.
Yeah.
Being able to go to the different restaurants and bars, and
Yeah.
that was a great. The rain held off a little
It
bit, so
did.
we could
It
make it.
Yeah.
See Champagne's newest plaza and gathering and placemaking
Yeah.
in person. So
Right.
you get to see, government action and work, and then enjoy it.
Yeah, they've done a beautiful job in Champaign. So let's talk a little bit about the value of belonging to ILCMA. What you see as now the leader for the next year, like for people who maybe aren't members or aren't in local government, it's obviously a huge resource.
I think
Yes.
our affiliate groups, the legacy group, the Hispanic network,
Mm-hmm.
and IAMMA,
Mhm.
IAMMA,
I am.
are really our affiliate groups are a great way to find your tribe.
Yeah.
And I'm part of Legacy. I joined IAMMA 30 years ago.
Oh wow.
And all of those relationships that began there as an intern, as a new graduate,
Yeah.
30 years down the road, they're the people that I pick up the phone when I need I need some advice,
Yeah.
or I want to go out to dinner on Friday night and meet some friends. They've just been an amazing support system. So I think the association, one of the benefits of that is that additional network.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's both a personal network and a professional network.
That's what
I think that is one of the more unique things about ILCMA and our profession in general, because there's not a lot of people in the universe that do what we do.
Yeah.
And we think a little bit differently, and we're cut from a little bit, a different calling for public service.
Yeah.
So being able to get together in person, have some conversations with people who understand where you're coming from
Mm-hmm.
is just the next level of benefit from this being part of this association. In addition to being one of the largest Midwest organizations
Mm-hmm.
from the national
Yeah.
ICMA.
Right, right. And then you can get as involved as you'd like in addition to just being a member.
Oh.
Paula mentioned she was on our very first podcast, which was a year ago.
Yeah,
Or a little
over a year.
over a year ago.
Yeah.
And that's because she said yes to being the conference chair. And now look at her. Over a year later, now she's the president. She doesn't say no to leadership roles,
It
but
does-
you don't have to, but you have the opportunity to. And that's when those relationships grow even more.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Joining a committee, I think, is one of the best ways to learn an organization,
Yeah.
meet some people, do some good.
Yeah,
Should join a
it's
committee.
great.
We got a lot of them.
Well, I will say that ILCMA is so fortunate to have you as their leader. You're just lovely anyway, a lovely human
Oh.
being, great leader as well. And so there you have it, Paula Schumacher, the brand new president of ILCMA. So glad you're here with us to
Thanks so
talk about conference, and we'll see you soon.
Hello, once again. We are here live from the ILCMA Summer Conference here in beautiful Champaign, Illinois. We've had wonderful sessions so far. I'm Clay Johnson, the village administrator for the village of Lindenhurst. With me is Scott Hilts, the village administrator for Round Lake Beach. We wanted to bring you another update of a great session that we just heard from called Cybermaturity, which Scott was the facilitator of. And Scott, could you give us a quick rundown of what happened in that session and the important takeaways that we should think about with Cybermaturity?
Yes, thanks, Blake. So the cyber maturity was, the title was based on, it's just not cybersecurity, or it's how you have to build the infrastructure around the organization and train your employees, teach them how it's important. And it's everybody's responsibility, not just IT's responsibility to secure our, valuable data, and information for our residents and constituents.
So, when it comes to resiliency and being prepared for cyber threats and things of that nature, there's a lot of big stories out there about what can happen when data is breached and things like that. What tips do you think were really important for us to think about when it comes to cybersecurity?
That's a good question. So, you don't want it to happen, but you should have, one of the takeaways further down into the presentation was what happens when you are breached or there is an incident. Who do you call? How do you handle it? So, like anything else we have in local government, you should have a policy in place prior to that. To educate our employees. If you think you had a threat, who do you call first? And how do you handle it?
Is there something to be thinking about when you are managing upwards towards your board to educate them on what they need to know about cybersecurity, or if they use their own personal devices or city provided devices, what should they be thinking about?
Absolutely. So, one of the takeaways I got was, and I think the whole panel had the same discussion with either their board or, upper management, was this is not just another tool like IT was, 5-10 years ago. You should treat this like public safety, and it's a reinvestment into the whole organization, like utilities or public safety. This should be treated in that manner instead of just a tool.
So for scalability sake, for communities that may be smaller or not have their own IT department, were there suggestions for what they should be looking at when it comes to cybersecurity? Maybe they don't have a designated IT person on staff. Maybe they don't have an office, if you will. What can they do? What should they be thinking about when it comes to the security aspects?
Well, that is a good question. We didn't touch on it a lot as far as scalability, but I will say that what they did say, some of the panelists did say, is you have to start somewhere, right? So if you think that you don't have a big department or a large organization, and you think you're not a threat, that's the worst thing you can do. So at least recognize that you need to do something and start somewhere. Because as small as at least calling a consultant for a few hours just to kind of look at it. The other aspect was actually check with your insurance carrier. They will have probably resources, because the brokers for cyber insurance, that would be probably step one.
Yeah.
Is to look into a scalable cyber insurance policy. And they're harder to get, but at least they'll give you a guideline of what you need,
Right.
To be insured.
Right.
And then you could start there. And
Right.
they might have some resources. They want to insure you, so they might have some low-cost resources to help.
I know in our case, before our current IT provider, we had the liability insurance provided a number of different trainings and aspects on cybersecurity. But now, with our current IT company, they give us monthly IT training and things to be aware of in the cybersecurity world, and this goes out to all employees, and we found it pretty beneficial for everybody.
We've done the same through like KnowBe4, but again, those programs for, I think, a mid-sized community are definitely doable, and you should at least approach the board if you're not already doing that. Again, the smaller communities, it's something to look into.
Yeah.
Based on your budgetary.
Yeah. Right. Did they say anything about what to do in your session about if there is a breach? How do you handle it? Who do you go to? Things like that.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I did have. Each panelist basically said the same thing. One, you would contact, if you did have an IT department, contact your IT manager immediately, and let them know which, if they clicked an email or they clicked a link, so they can remove that from everyone's inbox and they can scrub the system. Also, you should probably, obviously call your insurance carrier right away if you do have that cyber insurance. They'll walk you through a mitigation plan, so you're not sending out information to the public or the employees without them looking at the threat.
Right.
Or,
Right. So we're going to broaden the scope just a little bit here before we sign off, and let's just talk about like your overall impressions of the conference, what you found important, and why do you think others should attend something like this? How does it help you?
well, again, this is my second, actually no, my third conference. I've been to 2 winters, 1 summer, but a lot of the takeaways are that there's a breakout session for everyone, right? So there might be 1 or 2 that doesn't really fit in your organization or your municipality, but there's something always that you can take back. I guess the other thing when I was sitting at a few of them is that it can be overwhelming too, because there's so many great ideas, and then when you come back, you're like, I can't implement all this.
Right.
And so I think you need to be selective. It's good to take in the information, but you don't want to be caught up. Oh, we should be doing this. We should be doing this. It'd be great to do this. It's like, your band scope is only so much. That you can't. The more you
And you're only
take
one
on,
person,
and
and
you're
you're
only
trying to take
one
on all
person.
these things. Yeah.
But it's nice to know that it's out there. So when you maybe have that capacity, or you need to, like cybersecurity,
Right.
you need to address the problem. You've had some information in the past that you can lean on.
Right. Absolutely. So we're gonna end it there. I want to thank Scott for his time today. We really hope you've enjoyed the conference. For those that weren't able to join us, we hope you think about coming to one and expanding your horizons in that way. So until next time, thank you all.
Hi, everyone. Back here, Melanie Santostefano at the ILCMA Summer Conference in Champaign live. And I am here with Alaina Murphy. She is one of the young up-and-comers. And for those of you out there who don't know much about local government, this young lady, 24 years old, she does come from a family or a father who has been a leader of a community, plural. So she did get a little bird's eye view on what that means, but she is caving her own. What does mean like? So Alaina, thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Melanie. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So first, why don't we tell everyone what you do?
Yeah, so
And how you got into local government.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good question.
Yeah.
So I actually got into local government because in my undergrad, I wanted to go to law school.
Mhm.
And so I studied policy at Michigan State University. But then COVID happened and I needed an internship.
Mhm.
And so Kurt, Carol, and Robin Ellis, the village administrator and assistant village administrator over at the village of New Lenox, were gracious enough to let me intern in community development for a summer.
Oh, fun.
And I just had the best time and realized that this is where my passion is. And so after I graduated, I went back to New Lenox as an intern because I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to go the law school route or the local government route.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it,
Yeah.
with the community, with the work that we do. And I'm just incredibly grateful to be at this age and find my passion.
Absolutely.
And
What a great head start.
Yeah.
I see her managing the community of her choice someday. She's gaining her experience and community development. For those of you that don't know, like this is about the building blocks of a community with how where homes are laid out, where businesses are, where placemaking is, centers for communities that people can enjoy, amenities, all of that. So what a great place to start.
Oh, it was wonderful. Yeah.
So now we have to, before we go on, Alaina won a scholarship award during this conference, which is super exciting. It was so exciting to see you accept that. Tell everyone a little bit about what scholarship you won.
Yeah, so it was the James Banovetz Fellowship. And Professor Banovetz was a professor at NIU, which is where I'm getting my MPA currently.
Okay.
And he was a wonderful local government advocate. And so they created this scholarship in his honor to help the next generation of local government leaders kind of get their start and assist them in their MPA studies. And so I'm incredibly honored to have won an award that was named after someone who is so amazing and prominent and has made such an impact on this profession as a whole. So I feel very grateful and lucky.
So exciting. So exciting. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience with ILCMA? Like, what does this organization offer to you as a budding local government leader?
Yeah, so ILCMA has been a wonderful network of people, and everyone is very connected. Everyone is always willing to mentor young people like myself, and just be there to assist them in anything that you want. You know, there's so many people here that I can give them a call at any point, anytime, and they'll be able to answer any question, no matter how big or small it is. And so it's wonderful in that sense. But then also you come to these conferences and you learn so many things that you wouldn't know just sitting in your office.
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's always fun coming here, learning from others, learning from the presenters, and being able to bring stuff back to your community and also just feel reinvigorated. And, you know, your passion comes back after you leave here.
Yeah, nothing wrong with a few days away from the office too, right? And then in addition to all the education and, you know, as you mentioned, like having leaders to sit there and go, you know what, we want to help you understand what you need to do someday to move into that role. So having mentors and people to help guide you is huge. I mean, that's one of the hugest values that I think ILCMA brings to membership. So tell us a little bit about your conference experience, because that's definitely a part. We do 2 conferences per year. And why don't you tell us about your experience, because we're at the last morning before we all take off and go back to our real worlds. So what was your experience?
My experience, I mean, I always have a wonderful experience at these conferences. I think this one was really special. It's my very first time in Champaign. And so it was really interesting exploring the downtown a little bit and just, you know, seeing a part of Illinois that I've never seen before. I grew up in Michigan. And so it's always fun being able to come to these conferences and just see more of the state as well. I admittedly don't know it very well, having not been here, but every conference I go to, I learn more about just how everything's laid out. So that was wonderful. And then the keynote, Joy, she had a wonderful presentation. All of the sessions have just been really eye-opening, I think, and have given me definitely some takeaways from the conference. So that's been good. No complaints. It's been wonderful.
Well, I always love talking with kind of the younger set who are gaining all their background experience and foundation to someday lead communities. And, you know, it sounds maybe daunting leading a community, but really, truly, this is about affecting daily lives. Local government really does affect quality of life for every single resident, business owners, other stakeholders in the community. It's a huge job, but ILCMA provides that foundation and strength to be able to take it on. So I'm excited to talk with you. I'm also filled with hope when I see these young people who are just so promising and intelligent and working their way up. And so thanks for joining us, Lee.
I appreciate it. And just to add on real quick to what you said, not only is local government so important for anyone interested in joining the local government realm, but it's so important getting involved in ILCMA as well, because you learn so much from other people, and it's a great network. So get involved.
Get involved, everybody. All right. Thanks, Alaina, for joining us.
Welcome again to another Local Government Stories podcast with ILCMA. We're still here in Champaign, winding down the conference here with Glen Cole, the president of IAMMA. Past president, that's right. And we really wanted to highlight with this discussion the relationship between ILCMA and IAMMA and its importance and its role developing new professionals and advancing them through ILCMA. So what do you see that role being?
Sure. So IAMMA is really a special thing nationally. You know, I mean, many other states, there's maybe like an assistance committee or a young managers committee or something like that. And IAMMA, we were one of the first in Illinois to really organize assistants into an organization before any of those things. I mean, it used to be city managers, just the city manager set, and the history of this association going back 54 years now, something close to that, is to try and make a space that's focused on the needs of assistants, on the needs of analysts. I think over time, as we've recognized the recruitment challenges in local government, the need to develop and equip and mentor that next generation, it's taken on a broader role. So we're trying to make sure people know about the profession of local government, that they're being approached about careers, and really, especially these last few years, as we've seen the role of the analyst, the assistant evolving into having to not just be like this straight line MPA person, but really having to be subject matter experts in all these different disciplines.
Right.
To find ourselves being a forum for that too. The mission statement of IAMMA, is to help you find your next step forward. That's generally in the career, of course, that can be on other spaces too, just like with ILCMA. We do ourselves as partners in ILCMA with that. We're an affiliate organization, we're our own thing, but we really, we're trying to equip people to be city managers. We're trying to equip people to participate in to local government. That happens to make the lives of ILCMA members easier. And we also just really appreciate the support of ILCMA members. We need folks being directed to our group. We need them to have the time, the space, the resources to be able to attend. I remember a few years ago we were having a conversation about why aren't more of that younger generation of the assistant set. Well, and I've been coming in just at college, right?
Yeah, right.
And the answer we found pretty quickly was, I can't get the time, I can't get the money. My manager wants someone to be watching the shop. So it's making sure we are not just we're happy to take members, right? But making sure we're giving folks the resources and the flexibility and encouragement to contribute in IAMMA, but also in everything ILCMA is doing. It's a big part.
Right. So if you're just picking up, the local government podcast ILCMA today for the first time, what kind of things is IAMMA doing to reach out to those generations, and what type of events and other programs does IAMMA have that would appeal to somebody who might be interested?
Sure. So, and of course, I should say too, one, I think we've come a long way on the conference thing, just before we move off that topic.
Yeah.
But anyone can be an IAMMA member, right? I mean, there's a few misconceptions about IAMMA. Ones that managers can't be members. You can be. We would really like them to be our events, honestly.
Yeah.
We have a great membership and so on. But, maybe just thinking about it kind of through the career arc is the simplest way to lay it out. We have a group, just kind of a membership group now, it used to be called Next Generation, that really has a focus on a lot of their work through the year is college outreach. To try to get to every MPA program in the state. We're trying to do a little bit of work with undergrads, but there's just, we need volunteers for that.
Yeah.
So we're trying to have the people to be able to do more of that outreach in partnership with ILCMA and the strategic plan. So we're trying to get out there and engage students, not just bring them into local, into public policy work, but to encourage them to think about local government. From there, we do professional development events for people that are analysts, that are assistants. That culminates in our annual conference every year, which is the biggest, simplest way to get involved. That's every April, usually falls right around my birthday, middle of April. So I get to be the guy instead of Jim Grabowski getting happy birthday sung to him, every few years. And then we just try to do some fun stuff too throughout the year, networking and socials and things.
Yeah.
Big
Cuz games. Yeah.
Yeah.
All those sorts of things. Kane County, all that.
Kane County, yeah.
It's cool.
No, especially the last few years after COVID, I think we had the association stepped back from social events for a bit. After COVID, we knew just a big part of getting back to normal was giving people a forum to meet, especially, there's a whole tree ring, right?
Yeah.
Of folks that came out of college in the middle of this and just knew nobody.
Yeah.
And it was really important to us to be able to give them a forum. So we partnered with a bunch of different other peer organizations in local government, again, recognizing that the next city manager might be coming from finance, might be coming from planning, might be coming from public works.
Sure.
We've put these 8 associations together because they all want to do socials too.
Right.
And so we know if we can link those together, we can create some cross-pollination. We've been scaling that up year after year. That's something I'm very proud of for my time with the association. And it's led to this year, Out to Play was last year. So, this year it is, now that's what I call Local Gov 5.
Right.
We got the CD
Catchy.
cover.
It's
It
catchy.
is.
I like it.
Yeah. But, the Cubs game, we're going on like a riverboat cruise.
Yeah.
We're doing goat yoga.
Yeah.
We're going down to William Park. We're doing all kinds of stuff. So, bit.ly/Local Gov Socials 2025, I think is the URL. Hope I got that right.
Perfect plug.
Yeah.
Perfect plug. So
just plug it on in.
yeah, absolutely. So we've been to wrap up. We've been asking people what their reflections are on this conference or what professional development means to you. So I'll turn it over to you about what you think about Champaign and everything that's going on these last few days.
Yeah, I would say what really spoke to me the most, as I am a president, I served on the awards committee for this past cycle, so I got to see all the awards that were given out and the whole nominations and things. And I would say, every year, but especially this year, we just had some really remarkable people that I'm really glad we got to get to recognize.
Yep.
I'm really glad we got to showcase, just the work, just this organic community building in our profession.
For people who are typically unheralded, it was really cool to see.
And they're all just embarrassed about getting an award. And
Yeah.
They don't want to say
Yeah.
anything, and they're like shrinking back. That's the city manager ethos.
Yeah,
So,
public
all of
service.
us.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But that was what spoke the most to me about this time around.
Awesome. So thank you, Glenn, for coming and talking about IAMMA, your reflections of the conference, and stay tuned for more. Thanks again.
Well, it was so great to hear from everyone about their experiences with conference. I know for me, I look forward to conference every year.
Yeah.
Well, the two, summer and winter.
Right.
They have different vibes,
Yes.
We haven't
Yes.
been in Champaign in a long time.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it's a beautiful city.
Been a great host city.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it really, really has. As a bunch of people mentioned, we had a nice social event.
Right.
That happened last night.
Yep.
And then also what we didn't talk about is the golf. Did you golf?
I did.
So did I. 18 holes.
18
You
holes.
did the 18. Me
The whole
too.
thing. Yeah.
I was starting to well, it was very wind blown, right? Like
25 mile an hour wind.
was it?
Yes.
I felt like
Okay.
there were times where I was like, I'm not going to hit this ball because it might fly back at me. But so that's a great start to conference, right?
Yep.
Golf, and then you kind of get the opening event, the keynote,
Yeah.
which people talked about. Hannah Lipman talked a lot about her impressions. What was your thought on the keynote?
I thought that there was a lot to bring home about the flexibility and adaptability. That's what we do every day.
Yeah.
In this role, and I think there's a lot of that we could take back from that. It was enlightening in that way, reminding you of the skills that you need to have to really survive.
Yep. One of the things too from Joy Baldridge, who is wonderful and
Yeah.
full of energy, and
Yep.
she was throwing things all over the place,
Yeah.
throwing
I
little
think
giveaways.
everybody got gifts.
Yeah,
It's great.
people got, including Bob, which actually we got. Hannah showed Bob.
Yeah.
The resilience, though. So that, on a serious note, like being resilient, being able to evolve with change, and also taking a step back, because sometimes you're faced with something pretty challenging and trying to like take a moment with it and think about, how am I going to attack this? Like,
Yeah.
what am I going to, what's the solution here? And kind of taking a step of coming from a place of calm. That was
Yeah.
the one I really
Yeah.
thought was good.
It's easy to make rash decisions, and
It is.
it's a reminder of taking that beat, taking a breath, literally 4-4-6, taking your breath, and
Yeah.
hopefully coming to a better conclusion
Yes.
by taking those moments for yourself.
And also, you have teams of people that you need to rely on. You have the experts, all the department heads
Yep,
for you.
right.
So yeah, it was really great. And then, what I think we need to do is a couple of thank yous.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you to Phil Corrali
Yeah.
for leading this organization just in a really wonderful way over
Right.
the last year.
Really advocating for the profession.
Yeah.
And the people who are in those roles. Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, Dawn Peters
Always.
and the staff who always, it's like seamless. And you know what? It's probably like a wedding. There's probably things in the background that fall apart.
Yeah.
Actually, for winter conference, Dawn was interviewed, and I said she's kind of like a wedding planner. right? Like
In a
it's
lot.
so many moving parts, but it never feels that way.
No,
It just
no.
always feels so expertly produced, and that is due to the amazing
Absolutely.
ILCMA staff. So, who else should we thank? Anyone else?
Gosh.
Just everyone for coming.
City of
you know.
Champaign, the conference committee for
Champaign,
putting this together.
conference committee.
It's
Yep,
been excellent all around.
It has.
Yeah.
It has. It was just a wonderful conference. So if you are out there and didn't attend conference because you're an ILCMA member, you got to schedule for the next one.
Yes.
We'll be promoting them as we do. But yeah, great conference. Summer 2025, City of Champaign, great success. And we'll see you next time on Local Ghost Stories.
Take care.